Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. Today I'm sharing the cards I made using the Not Too Shabby May 2021 subscription box. Now unfortunately this has already sold out. In fact, it sold out within I think the first couple days it was released. If there are any of the individual items still available, I will add a link in the description box below. My friend Jen over at Scrapbena Creations and I decided to do a collab using this fun kit. Together, we made a total of 40 cards. I will add a link to Jen's video in the description box below and also at the end of this video if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching this video on Rumble, they don't currently have that feature, so you'll have to grab that link in the description box. Now, I haven't seen Jen's cards yet, but I know she colored up the adorable images on the stamp set, and her coloring is amazing. So definitely go and check out Jen's video. I rarely ever color stamped images, so I'm going to be using more of the ephemera. For this first card, I'm using a card sketch from MFT. This is number 538. I have this fun pattern paper for the background with the little coffee cups, and it has the sentiment Coffee Girl. I used the pink and white striped paper for the strip on the left. I have an oval die cut. I layered it on some brown cardstock. Before adhering it to the card, I did put 2 layers of scrap cardstock underneath on the right side, just to keep everything at the same level. I'm using the pink and white striped coffee cup with the little pink heart in the center. And then I've stamped out the sentiment, I'm on a coffee diet. So this is really cute. I'll cut a fishtail on both of the ends. And one thing that I have to mention, and if you've watched any of my videos before, I don't like coffee, but for some reason this year I'm a little obsessed with coffee themed paper collections. And what's really funny, Jen doesn't drink coffee either. Earlier this year, Jen and I did another collab using a coffee themed paper collection. So obviously we both really like the coffee theme. I have lots of friends and family who love coffee, so it's perfect for me to send cards to them. And with this kit selling out so quickly, apparently lots of other people really like the coffee theme as well. So there is my finished card. I just added a few of the sequins that are included in the box, and I did make 2 using that sketch. Now moving on to card design number 2. This is a sketch from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 456. I'm using this fun pattern paper for the background that has the fun little detail design they put on the top of your coffee. Adding a strip of some pearlescent pink cardstock. I'm going to layer everything on some brown cardstock. Then I'm also using the black and white polka dot coffee cup pattern paper. Now you can see I do have a heart cut out of that background. I'll be adding that here shortly. Before I adhere this piece, I will put some scrap cardstock on the upper area just to keep everything nice and level. Then I'll adhere it to the card. And I am following this sketch fairly closely. But instead of that little tiny circle, I am using a heart. So I've already stamped out the sentiment, let's do coffee. And this is a die set from scrapbook.com. So it has the heart and the little matching scallop heart. Before adhering it in place, I did put 1 thin foam square on the right side just to keep it level, and then use some liquid adhesive. To finish off the card, I'm adding some pearls from Studio Katia. This is their Cafe au Lait color. It's a beautiful brown. It almost has an iridescent finish on the top. I'm using an embellishment wand to help pick those up. And I have my Barely Art glue. Just add a drop and then adhere those pearls in place. So I put 2 in the lower right-hand corner, 2 in the upper left-hand corner, and 1 to the left of the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this sketch. Now moving on to card design number 3. The card sketch is from OWH. It's number 218. So even though this is a coffee themed paper collection, there was at least 1 pattern paper that has tea. So that's really fun. I do enjoy tea. So I'm using that tea pattern paper for that larger, it's almost a square, but it's a rectangle piece. There's this beautiful pattern paper that looks like glitter, but it's not. This is smooth paper. So a pink and gold glitter pattern paper for that strip that goes across the card. Layer everything on some brown cardstock, and I'm just using some tan cardstock for the background. I'll add that scrap piece of cardstock before I adhere the teacup pattern paper. I've already stamped out the sentiment, "Have the best day." Stamped it on some pink cardstock, layered it on that same brown cardstock. You can see I misstamped it, so I flipped over that cardstock and stamped it again. Cut a fishtail on the left side. Before I adhere it in place, I will add those scrap pieces of cardstock, just where it goes off of the other layers of pattern paper. Then I'll adhere it to the card. For finishing touch, I'll bring in a few gem stickers. These are from Honeybee Stamps. Had quite a few left over, and this color matched perfectly with the pattern paper. So I'll just put 3 of them as indicated on the sketch. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this sketch. Now moving on to card design number 4. The card sketch is from MFT. This is number 508. And if I didn't mention earlier, if you are interested in any of the card sketches I show, I have all of that information on my coordinating blog post. That link is provided in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. I have this fun cupcake pattern paper for the background. I rounded the bottom 2 corners. I'll layer that paper on some purple cardstock first, and then on some specialty cardstock that has a gold look to it. It's from Tonic Studio. It's the lemon luster color. And I know I did forget to cut out the center of that specialty paper. I do try to remember and save it for another project, but I think I was just busy making cards and forgot this time. I used that same specialty cardstock for the layer on this gold glitter looking pattern paper. Again, there's no glitter on any of that pattern paper, it just looks like it. I'm adding a purple scallop circle die cut to the center, and then I have 2 of the ephemera pieces, the little cupcakes that match that pattern paper. And I'll just glue those down on that circle die cut, overlapping them slightly. I stamped out the sentiment sweet on a lighter purple cardstock. Cut the right side at an angle just for a little extra interest. Then I'll finish off the card with some gold gem stickers from Honeybee Stamps. So there is my finished card, and again I did make 2 using this sketch. So I will be making 2 of the same card for all 10 of my cards for that total of 20. Now moving on to card design number 5. I'll be making a slimline card this time. So it's 3.5 inches by 8.5 inches. Now this card design was inspired by some of Jen's slimline cards. She'll take 2 pattern papers and combine them together. She'll have that smaller pattern paper on the top and then the longer piece of pattern paper on the bottom. So where those 2 pattern papers meet, she'll add a little scallop border or some kind of border. I thought it would be fun to use that same design for my card. I have a scallop border, and I use some more of that gold, that lemon luster specialty cardstock. And the scallop die is from Pretty Pink Posh. So I layered the pattern paper on some dark brown cardstock. Before adhering that scallop border, I will add those scrap pieces of cardstock on the very outside edge, just to keep everything nice and level. And I decided to have that scallop border go all the way to the edge of the card. Now I'll bring in several of the ephemera pieces. There's the 2 little donuts that are so cute. There's the little bear and the panda bear. And then I have 2 different coffee cups. I used some liquid adhesive to adhere the panda donuts. Now the bear that goes over that white and black polka dot pattern paper, I decided to add some white solid cardstock. It just bothered me to have part of that polka dot showing through the center of the donut. I'll attach the 2 coffee cups in the center and have them overlap slightly. I'll put those scrap pieces of cardstock underneath just to keep them all nice and level. So overall, a fairly simple card. I love those sweet little ephemera pieces that are included in the kit. I've already stamped out the sentiment, "We go together like coffee and donuts." I'll adhere it underneath the bare donut and above part of that scallop border. Just add some scrap cardstock in the little gap before adhering it in place. And then to finish off the card, I'll add a few brown gem stickers. Just adding 3 of them. I don't think the card needed anything more. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now moving on to card design number 6. The card sketch is from Queen & Company. I have 2 different pattern papers, and I've used these on some previous cards. So I have the coffee cups with the black and white polka dot and then the pink and white stripes. I'll layer this on some pink cardstock that has a pearlescent finish, and then again on some of this dark brown cardstock. I did cut a scallop circle out of that background, and I'll just fill in that gap with some scrap cardstock. Put my card front onto a card base. Then I have some stitched strip dies. These are from Pretty Pink Posh. I put some double-sided tape on the larger one on this brown strip. The pink is a little thin, so I didn't have any double-sided tape that would work for that, so instead I'll use some liquid adhesive. So I'll adhere that to the center of the brown strip. It does go off the edge just a little bit, so I'll flip over the card and trim off the extra. Now I'll work on the sentiment. I have a stitched circle die cut out of some craft cardstock. Already loaded the sentiment in my mini MISTI, and I'm using some Catherine Pooler ink. This is icing on the cake. I did ink it up several times to get a nice solid impression. So I'll layer this on a scallop circle die cut. Before adhering it to the card, I will add some thin foam squares. And I'll leave a gap in that lower portion where it's going to go over those strips. So these are just some thin foam squares. I like to use them since they're not as thick as the regular foam dimension. And then I'll add some scrap cardstock in that little opening. Remove the release paper, add a little bit of liquid adhesive, and adhere it to the card. Try to make sure to line it up where those foam pieces aren't on top of those strips in the middle. Then to finish off the card, I'll add some pink pearls, and these are also from Studio Katia. This is the Bubblegum color. Beautiful pink. I'll put 3 in the upper left-hand corner and 2 in the lower right-hand corner. So there is my finished card. I love the pink and brown together. It's so pretty. Now moving on to card design number 7. This is a very simple card design. So I have the pattern paper with the top of the coffee cups. I used a stitched rectangle die to cut that out. I'll layer it on some light brown cardstock that has a pearlescent finish. I used some ATG and also some liquid adhesive along that outside edge just to make sure everything lays down flat. And then I'll layer that piece on a scalloped rectangle die cut. Put my card front onto a card base, trying to make sure to get it nice and straight. I've already stamped out the sentiment. I used a Sunny Studio stitched arch die. And this is "May your coffee kick in before reality does." And I know for a lot of people that statement is true. To add a little detail to the top of that arch, I'm adding a brown bow. This is some May Arts ribbon that I've had forever. I like it since it lays very flat. I'll adhere it to the card using some small glue dots. Put 1 in the center and then 1 on each of the loops of the bow. And I decided that's all the card needed. I didn't want to add any extra bling. So there is my finished card, and again I did make 2 using this design. Now the kit includes 2 different 6x6 paper pads. My first 7 card designs were all with the Coffee and Treats paper collection, and now I'm shifting over to the Coffee and Friends. I guess I favored that first collection with all the lovely pink. For this set of cards, I decided to go with some neutral colors. So I have that light brown polka dot paper for the background. I used a stitched banner die cut. It has all these little coffee cup and coffee beans. I'll layer this on some dark brown cardstock. Put my card front onto a card base. Several of the patterns in this paper collection have a solid design. So this is a light brown color. I thought it would work nicely for putting the sentiment and an ephemera piece. So I have a scalloped circle die cut. Before I adhere this in place, I will add that scrap piece of cardstock to the right side where it goes off of that banner. Use some liquid adhesive and adhere it to the card. And I have the one little ephemera piece with the cookies and the coffee cup. And I've already stamped out the sentiment Mom Fuel, and I just fussy cut that out. And I'll glue it to the left of the ephemera piece. Then to finish off the card, I'll add some more of the brown pearls. Put 2 of them in the upper left-hand corner and 3 to the right underneath that ephemera piece. So using my embellishment wand to help pick those up, this color matches beautifully with the browns in the paper collection. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now moving on to card design number 9. I'm using a card sketch from Mojo Monday. This is number 552. For this card, I'll be combining 5 different pattern papers. Now 2 of them are solid, so it's easy to mix up all those busy designs. I have the brown polka dot paper for the background, adding the stripe paper on the left side. I'll layer this polka dot paper on some turquoise cardstock and then again on that dark brown cardstock. If you can't tell, I love adding cardstock layers to my cards. For that smaller rectangle, I use some pattern paper that has some coffee sentiments and also little coffee cups and hearts. Layered that on some brown cardstock and then added that solid blue strip behind it. I did put some scrap cardstock to the right before adhering it in place. Put my card front onto a card base, and I am leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. I'll be using one of the ephemera pieces instead of the circle that's on the sketch. This will be an oval. So this is fun. It says coffee time and it has a cup of coffee. And then for the little banner that comes off to the right, I'm using some more of that pattern paper in the solid color. I'll add some scrap pieces on the right side. And then for the coffee time ephemera piece, I already put some thin foam squares on the left side. And then I'll use liquid adhesive to adhere it to the card. Then to finish off the card, I'll add some more of the Coffee Olay pearls from Studio Katia. Put 3 of them in the upper right-hand corner and 2 in the lower left-hand corner. And you can see the white glue, but this does dry clear. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now moving on to card design number 10, and this is my final card design. I'm using a card sketch from MFT. This is number 515. Forgot to pull that out. I have some blue polka dot paper for the background, and then I have this fun pattern paper that's stacked up with coffee cups for that circle. For those 2 banners, I'll use some of the solid pattern paper, just 2 different shades of brown. Cut the fishtail on the end. I'll adhere the larger banner down first. Then I can attach that circle die cut. The very right side of that circle will go off the edge. So I made sure not to put any liquid adhesive there. I'll just use my scissors to trim that off, and then I can add the next little banner. It's nice having the solid pattern paper since you have a few more colors that match with the collection. I decided to round the bottom 2 corners, so I used my corner chomper on the pattern paper and also that brown cardstock layer. And I'll also do it to the card base. So put some adhesive on the back and I put my card front onto a card base. Using another ephemera piece, this is Coffee and Friends, the Perfect Blend. And I'll pop this up using some thin foam squares. Then to finish off the card, add a few more of the Coffee au lait pearls. I'll add 2 to the lower left-hand corner and 1 to the right above the sentiment. So there is my finished card, and I did make 2 using this design. Now here's a recap of the 20 cards I made using Not Too Shabby's May 2021 subscription box. This has already sold out, and most of the individual items are sold out as well. If anything is still available, I will add links in the description box below. I really enjoyed using this collection, and it was so fun to do another video collaboration with my friend Jen over at Scrapbena Creations. Don't forget to head over to Jen's video. I do have a link at the end of this video and also in the description box below. If you were able to purchase this kit, hopefully Jen and I provided some inspiration for you. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.